Afghanistan Institute for the Culture of Peace and Moderation. "40 years of war, interference and violence have had a devastating effect on the political, economic, social, cultural and religious dimensions of our society. One of the areas that has been severely damaged in these 4 decades is our understanding and perception of religious teachings, largely distorted, with a heavy hand of continuous outside interference and instrumental use of religion. Although terrorism and violent extremism have targeted many countries over the past 4 decades, but fortunately, most have been able to contain and manage the situation in various ways and ensure the security and stability of their communities. Those societies that successfully overcame the security crises arising from war and terrorism seem to appreciate the fact that this complex and multidimensional phenomenon cannot be defeated by military and security means alone. Defeating violent ideologies needs extensive and coordinated intellectual, cultural, educational, and public awareness campaigns to promote and enrich the ethos of peace and moderation. In recent years, some countries, in our neighborhood and beyond, established various official and unofficial institutions with the aim of providing an alternative narrative and moderate progressive reading of religion, which enabled them to eradicate the roots of religious violence in a relatively short time. Having suffered much from the scourge of terrorism, we need to establish such an institution more than others. Fortunately, our traditional perception and interpretation of religion abound with teachings that reflect respect to humankind, promotion of peace, universal moral values, and tolerance. We have a very rich mystical heritage. A heritage that has been brilliantly reflected as an oral and written tradition in the languages of our country. Our deep culture calls for spiritual purification, dissemination of moral teachings, social cohesion, justice, compassion, tolerance and prevention of harm even to animals. Afghanistan Institute for the Culture of Peace and Moderation, founded by a group of scholars, cultural and political figures, hopes to fill this gap in the country and fulfill its responsibilities, serving the nation, the region, and the world.
We believe that shedding human blood is the greatest tragedy that can befall a society. Similarly, there is no greater service than stopping that bleeding. One of the most effective ways to end killing is to change the mindset of the society, because human action is the product of the interaction of 3 sides of a triangle known as the cognitive triangle. Every behavior starts with a thought, then transmits to emotion, and finds ways to be implemented in action. The most honorable mission that can be carried out is to dry up the roots of violence and institutionalize a culture of moderation, peace, tolerance, and coexistence. Let us, whoever we are, in whatever form we define ourselves, in any context we operate, play a historical role in this noble mission.
Vision: to be a recognized center of excellence in promoting tolerance, moderation, understanding, and sustainable peace in Afghanistan. The center envisions a prosperous society built on understanding, trust, moderation, cooperation, solidarity, unity, and an environment conducive of security, stability, and sustainable development. Mission: to contribute to the building of an effective culture of moderation and peace in Afghanistan among groups and communities through dialogue, education, messaging, training, research, conferences, networking, and support. Strategic goals. Calling for restoration of public order and expanding security and stability in the country. Delegitimizing terrorism and countering extremist narratives of the religion. Return to religious values and teachings in order to achieve social cohesion and progress and excellence of the country. Reflecting our humanistic culture and its historical role on the region and the world and presenting a better image of the country. Creating unity and brotherhood among Afghanistan's social groups. Training and raising a constructive, dynamic and cohesive generation with the original and historical culture of the country. Combating imported and violent religious ideas and ending the instrumental use of religious values among our youth. Activities. Establishing internet sites, such as websites, YouTube, Facebook and Twitter accounts and publishing short, simple and effective messages on terrorism and violent extremism counter-narratives, along with video clips and pictures and photos in Persian, Pashto, and English languages. Conducting conferences in order to achieve the mentioned goals. Organizing essay writing competitions and making videos for peace, coexistence and moderation for the young generations. Holding summer training camps for the youth. Establishing a network of peace seekers among Afghan refugees and within their cultural and religious centers in the world. Conducting research and study on the roots and causes of violence and ways to prevent it. Establishing relationships and cooperation with similar institutes in the region and the world. Exchanging opinions with domestic and foreign scholars and organizing conferences in the country's academic institutions in order to achieve these goals. Launching debates to strengthen peace-oriented and moderate goals in the country's academic centers. Coordinating with official institutions and civil society organizations in order to spread the concepts of peace, tolerance, coexistence and the culture of moderation. Evaluating current efforts and programs of combating violent extremism and develop alternative narratives. Establishing of an observatory setting to monitor and observe the narrations and propaganda of terrorist, extremist and violent extremist groups. Publishing of works that are useful for promoting peace and moderation, especially books written by the early scholars of the country. Afghanistan Institute for the Culture of Peace and Moderation.